What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, and today we are keeping the promise, the threat from the last video. We're bringing it back to talk about Harley-Davidson's 2023 model year lineup and how it relates to the entire company as a whole. We both went out and rode a bunch of bikes at the demo day, and we've been keeping our ear to the ground on Harley news for a long time. And it's time for those two things to collide. And we're going to just have a nice free-form conversation because we both have a lot to say about
Conversation this. Or a rant?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, isn't it?
Both, yeah. That's why we're here.
If you have not seen the entire 2023 model year lineup review, there's going to be a link somewhere on the screen. Just click that. There's a lot to learn from there. But my biggest takeaway was the price. And we're going to have to start with, what did you think about the bikes that you rode?
I felt like I was stepping on another planet. I felt like there's something kind of time machiney about it, right? Mm-hmm. Right? You've got a little bit of new, but like a lot of old.
Yeah. And
being a younger rider there by a significant amount of decades too, you know, was also interesting, but that price point I'm not a, retiree old man that's been saving money for my entire life. And
it was rough. It was really rough.
But we know that, right?
But I think it was really eye-opening to me when I was talking with somebody who used to work at the dealership, and he was basically like, yeah, good luck getting these for the price that's on the bike. You're gonna walk out.
Oh, they're marking them up.
Well, it's not that they're marking them up. It's just that there's so many fees that Harley-Davidson passes on to dealers that then get passed on to consumers. Ooh. So, like I said in the review, go ahead and just add $5,000 to every single one of those motorcycles.
It's the American way, right? Yeah. You know, the price in the aisle is way different than the price at checkout.
Yeah, which is really rough when you're talking about motorcycles that MSRP for between $24,000 and $30,000.
What's another $5,000, Spite? That's nothing. Chump change.
And you want to know, so this is something, I've been to a handful of press launches with Harley-Davidson because despite how critical I am of Harley-Davidson, I really try to keep it fair, and I continue to cover them. And they keep inviting me out to events, and I'm really, really thankful for them for doing this because I do like their motorcycles. But I was talking with one of the guys from the company, and I was like, you said yourself you're targeting younger riders with these. These are the performance baggers. You're trying to capture that younger crowd. Who in the younger crowd can spend $30,000 on one of these bikes? You want to know what his response was? Our financing guys are awesome.
Oh, well, that's the new permeating model, right? You don't own things anymore. Like, if you can pay to play, do that for, I mean, car loans are now like, oh, we've got a 9-year and a 15-year. Which one do you want? And you're like, okay, give it 4 more years and it's practically a mortgage.
So you rode the Fat Bob, which you liked, and what else did you ride? I
didn't end up riding the Fat Bob.
You didn't?
Nope. What'd they throw me on? The FLXR XLFS.
That's very helpful. They're all
Are they? Because the Fat Bob was totally taken, but the other one.
Was it the lowrider, the blacked out lowrider?
What was it?
Street Bob? Red one?
It was not red. It was black.
That was the lowrider. What did you think of that one?
I do totally get it. When you're ripping it, you're like, God damn. I mean, it's all right there. And you and I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like the rocket ship feeling of just like barely hitting the throttle and really taking off. And I love bottom heavy bikes. I own a Boxer. It's different. It's way different.
Yeah.
It feels so balanced. I feel really planted. I feel way more confident going at higher speeds. But I'm like, I can never justify. I think that one was like 18.
That one's 18 to start, and then you slap that other $5,000 on top of it, you're 23 grand.
That's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's never gonna happen.
So this gives us a good segue into that recent investor report.
I just felt like that whole investor slideshow was as American as blueberry pie, apple pie, whatever. That sounds really good right now. You're getting a look at what has always been, right? And you're getting a look at, I mean, Harley-Davidson has been owning it for over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me that they're like, okay, this is massive. How are we going to keep this afloat?
Right.
We're going to throw a $35,000 trike at you all the time and see what happens.
So here's the quote. This is from their investor page, direct from the website. The Hardwire strategic priorities. Now you know it's real. Profit focus. Investing in our strongest motorcycle segments. We will invest in strengthening and growing our leadership position in our strongest, most profitable motorcycle segments. Touring, large cruiser, trike. As the market leader, it is up to us to continue to innovate within these segments, both through technology and design, building our rich heritage.
I want to know, because to me this isn't shocking, this doesn't elicit any sort of response, but it's eliciting a response from you.
Yes.
Is it because, what is it? What is it that's making you so fiery? I hear corporate mumbo jumbo. It's a giant business. They gotta, you know, strong arm everybody into giving them more money. It's
Whitney, are you going to go buy a $35,000 trike?
No.
Are you going to go buy a $25,000?
No, but they're not looking for us, right? I don't think they are.
They
are
need to be
us?
looking for us because we're the next generation of buyers.
I think they have to follow their core population until they're gone.
If they do that, they're going to continue to upcharge every bike until you and I can't even afford it with a loan. I mean, think about it like this. You need 10 to 15% down on a vehicle right now. So if that, just to make the math easy, is $50,000, that's $5,000 down at 10%. Are you just going to be able to throw $5,000 down on one of these limiteds? No. I can't do that either.
No.
But then again, that bike isn't designed for us, so it's not like that. They're just milking a smaller and smaller and smaller market segment. Like if you look at like you go to the page, they actually have this like animated video. I think they're in Golden, Colorado, which is just like rich Moneyville. And they have the Road Glide Limited, the CVO Limited, just pulling out of this like double car, fancy ass garage. And it's just very clear that it is not meant for us.
The plebs.
It's not meant for the plebs. It makes me angry too because they're looking backwards, right? If they're like, hey, our big market segment is cruisers, touring, and trike, but they have this amazing motorcycle in the Pan America, and they have this amazing motorcycle in the Nightster.
What do you want them to do?
I want them to invest in that.
Okay.
I want them to make that competitive with other brands. Like, look, okay, Rebel 1100 is 10 grand. The Nightster S is like 13 plus another handful of thousands of bucks. Let's call it 17 grand out the door. Way too much cash for that bike. What they need to do is they need to bring it down to an entry-level price point of 10 to 11 grand. Maybe you upcharge a little bit for the badge, and then you get them out the door for 13. That right there is going to get the next generation of riders on a Harley-Davidson.
As the owner of Harley-Davidson right now, as I channel his essence, I'm going, you want me to charge less?
Yes.
You want me to make less money on my motorcycles.
They are making money hand over fist on the touring bikes. And so, okay, if you're going to prioritize profit, that's one thing, but you need to realize that that market segment is going to drain away year over year. They're aging out of riding. They're aging out of life. It's a sad reality that, I mean, you said it earlier, we were the youngest by decades at that event. And it was a Saturday. It wasn't like we went on a Wednesday when only retirees could go. It was a Saturday. You know, maybe everybody's working their second job so that they can afford rent in this, you know,
yes, in those
sad dystopia that we live in. But I need Harley-Davidson to not be looking at collecting Social Security checks and be looking at giving a motorcycle to Millennials, Gen Z.
What if there's some unknown gigantic populace of absolutely loaded people that you and I just don't know about? Because I feel like they have enough marketing research, right?
It's possible.
Or do you think that they're failing in that? And because there could be a totally gigantic populace in Golden, Colorado of people our age who are just absolutely loaded, but I wouldn't know.
It's possible. I mean, that's why they're targeting these people. But that also brings me to the next point, which is this endeavor with QJ Motors and now Hero in India. So QJ Motors is a Chinese company that's building bikes that they're badging for Harley-Davidson.
Common. That's a common practice.
Oh, totally common.
Yes.
Yeah, and I actually made a video about this a while back, and people got really on my case about it. And they were like, these will never be on the street. And I was like,
have you been to other countries? None of those people have been to other countries.
Yeah, and I was like, they're gonna come here, people are going to ride them because it's their new MSF bike. It's the Rider Academy bike is the X350 or 350X. When a rider takes their MSF, they're very likely to go buy that motorcycle at the dealership because they're familiar with it.
Yeah.
So if Harley-Davidson is going to have this bike and they're going to train people up on it, why aren't they going to sell it in the dealership? You know, that's basically what I was saying, and people were like, you'll never see it here in the States. It's coming, people. It's happening.
You do think it's happening?
Oh, it's gonna happen, 100%. Might not be this year, but I bet you by 2025, you're going to see little parallel twin.
I mean, you see Royal Enfield just crushing it right now.
Royal Enfield, so apparently, fun story, Royal Enfield was at the, was it Mama Tried? Yeah, it was Mama Tried up in...
didn't people get pissed or something?
Yeah, so Harley-Davidson got mad because Royal Enfield was at Mama Tried, and that's usually a Harley show, and people were loving the Royal Enfields.
Yeah, dude.
And Royal Enfield America is in Milwaukee.
Oh! That kind of seems like a threat a little bit.
That's a big threat. Like, think about it this way. You have a company that is making extraordinarily affordable motorcycles.
That look cool.
They look cool. They're air-cooled.
Yep.
They make the kind of V-twin thumpy-thumpy sound.
Yep.
And the whole point is you buy one and mod it. What did you do with a Sportster? The exact same thing. Literally, Royal Enfield is like, fuck you, this is our market spot now.
Well, they're emerging, and I've had my eye on them for a long time, but it's like they're tapping that wave, right? Mm-hmm. They're hitting it right on, where Harley has so much going on and is much bigger and has been riding the wave on their archaic surfboard for much longer, where they're coming down where other people are taking advantage and coming up.
Yeah, and I really do think that these little bikes are going to be how Harley can tap other markets.
Sure.
Because you think of a country like India, the reason the street line came up, 500 and 750 cc's, is because in India, if you have a bike over 1,000 cc's, it's taxed at like 2 times the price of the vehicle. Yeah. So, and Indian people, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if there's any folks from India watching, everything I've seen from Indian riders, they love Harley-Davidson.
Of course.
Because it's that image of America, it's that image of like success, and this is a motorcycle. And India is a huge motorcycling market.
Right.
And when the street line went away, there was really nothing for an Indian rider to buy because the 883 doesn't exist anymore. And now you're stuck buying stuff that's well over 1,000 cc's.
Right.
So by badging these Asian bikes, singles, parallel twins, they can break into all these other markets. And I think what they're going to realize is that it's the perfect entry point for people to get into the brand here. And then what they need to do is they need to develop motorcycles that fill the gap between 400 cc's and 1800 cc's.
God, could you imagine if Harley Davidson dabbled in what Royal Enfield's doing?
I know, just a little. Instead, what they're doing is, like, don't get me wrong, I love King of the Baggers, but what they did is they were like, we're gonna compete, but we're gonna make our entire own segment to compete in, which is basically like the quintessential American company idea, is we're competitive and we're gonna prove it, and by doing it, we're gonna race against ourselves, an Indian. Like, even BMW isn't there. I think there might be some privateers that run the BMW, but it's just like, why?
The clouds weep for you.
Yeah.
They're starting to weep as you bring this up, as I see your emotion change.
So we've been gabbing on about this for a while now, and I want to bring this back to the central core, and that is, we rode 2023 model year bikes. We saw the prices. We see where Harley's trying to go. What do you think about their general direction?
I think the next 10 years is going to be really interesting. We're seeing electric bikes come, we're seeing Suzuki drop from MotoGP. You're seeing like a shift happening. And you're seeing a lot of old models, a lot of different models and different things happening at Harley Davidson, and you're wondering how they're going to start funneling it down, or they just, I don't know. To me, it's like a mixed bag of what could happen, right? I don't think they're going to come down in price. I don't think that that's something they're going to do. I think they're on a rocket ship going 1,000 miles an hour, and I don't think they're going to be like, oh, wait a second, let's beeline here.
So do you think that we'll see any shift in the bikes that are on a Harley lot from Harley Davidson? Not the badged ones, but from Harley Davidson themselves. Do you think we'll see a smaller version of the Pan America, the 975? Or do you think we'll see...
It's so hard to think of Harley just doing less. I've never equated Harley Davidson with less or distilling down models. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not talking about like less bikes. I'm just talking about less size and more options.
That's what okay. Less size, less anything, less price, smaller engines. I don't see them doing that.
Fair enough.
The bikes are huge. The people who love Harleys love the chrome. They love the big domineering presence that they have on the road. So to think like, oh, we're gonna get a little baby guy in here, a little baby guy that's gonna ride. I think that would be smart, but I can't envision that.
What is, we've ridden a handful of Harleys now, and I think I know the answer to this question right off the top of but what is your favorite Harley and why?
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, for real? I remember a moment I was standing with you when you first saw the Pan America. It was, I don't remember how many years ago now.
Couple years.
I was standing behind you and you're like, what the f is that? I got a huge raging hard on. That's my trademark, sorry. Because it was like, whoa. That was the first time I'd ever looked at an ADV bike, ever. That was something different. And then they nailed it.
Yeah.
Right, so that is interesting. But that falls to me into the touring category, right?
Yeah.
You can crush miles on that. That one, it looks different. It's cool. It rides great. They dumped a lot of money into something that came out well.
What if Harley built that? What if they put a V-twin in something like that?
You know what I think of when you talk about like Royal Enfield and stuff? What was that old 70s tracker? Like Harley Davidson used to have some
Yeah,
like,
so the XR 750.
They used to have some cool vintage bikes.
Yeah.
Oh, even this is way old. Like the first one that they started, it's like super skinny, the really narrow Harley Davidson. They came in like ivory. They used to race at the bicycle track.
Yeah, I remember.
Dude, you come out with that, I'm in line. Like I'm in line. Like you go like way Harley retro.
Yeah.
And just crush the retro class. That would be so sick.
So that's doing something different without truly being different though, right?
Right.
So I honestly think that Harley, what they really need to do is they need to take a long, hard look at at what they expect for the next few years. Nobody wants to hear it, but it's the truth. Yeah. And Harley Davidson needs to spend money to make money. Right now, they're not spending any money. The Pan America was such a radical shift in thought and design, and it made people genuinely excited about what Harley can do. That's why the Bronx was like, why everybody's so butthurt that the Bronx is gone. Because they look at the Pan America, at least this is true for me, and I'm like, you guys f***ing nailed it. You can do whatever you want. You just don't. Harley-Davidson, if they want to be competitive, they need to meet Royal Enfield where they're at. They don't need Royal Enfield to come to them. They need to go to Royal Enfield. At least that's my 2 cents.
Are we going to get absolutely destroyed?
I hope so. I hope so. Let us know down below what you guys think about all this. There's going to be plenty of y'all who are like, Harley-Davidson's got no chance, and I understand. But I genuinely do want to hear from Harley riders and people who are even remotely interested in the motor company. What do you think about Harley-Davidson and all of this news that basically they're like, we're going hard on trikes, we're going hard on touring bikes, we're gonna milk those boomers for every last Social Security check we can until they die. Because that's essentially what that statement was. And on that somber note.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about just how the geriatric population gets totally taken advantage of on every level. You throw them into a home that's $7 grand a month, and yeah, no.
And then you take the rest of their Social Security check for a Harley-Davidson.
You sell their house.
On that nice note, let's call it a day. Let us know your thoughts down below. I'm really interested to start a conversation about this because